Hey, what's up?
Good.
Happy family.
Huh? That was my who was America's Got Talent or something like that. That was my attempt at making the show. But forget all of that, man. It's Saturday morning. Well, not morning for all, morning for some. Afternoon for others, and even for some of those who are watching, man. Hey, we doing coffee, crepes, leadership, and pancakes. I got my coffee. I have my biscuits. I see your coffee, Matt. We about to get into this thing, man. So today, if you guys didn't know, it's the 1st of October. And yeah, man, this year is flying by. But early in the morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time it is for you, we go into leadership stuff, man. You know, the fun stuff. The stuff that you don't want to sit down and get PowerPointed to death. The stuff that you don't have the opportunity to sit down and just ask questions or whatever. In training. You know, when you put the uniform on, it feels a little more forced. So we doing it like this on a Saturday with some breakfast, some brunch with the fellas, and we be getting it. We be getting it in, man. Ain't that right, Matt?
As much as we can. As much as we can.
Amen, brother. All right, so today we're going to be going over 3 types of burnouts and how to overcome them by Melody Wilding. Should be good. I enjoyed it. I identified with all 3. So summary is, research shows that people don't burn out in the same exact way for the exact same reasons. Because of this, it's important to be able to identify that. Take a moment to bring to mind a person who's burnt out. I'm sure we all know someone. If they're not current, I'm pretty sure you know somebody that you worked with or you lived with or you have relations with, something. If you've been around for a day or two, you've seen somebody that's burnt out. You're likely picturing someone who is overbooked and overwhelmed, drowning in multiple demands and competing priorities. But burnout is far more nuanced than simply being busy and tired. It's crazy. You know, I think it was the second one I didn't realize. I mean, reading it, it made sense. But when you think about burnout, I pretty much thought about the first and the last one for the most part.
Yep.
So for years, it was believed that everyone reacted to chronic workplace stress in the same way, but research has revealed that burnout manifests itself in different ways, depending on the person's work environment as well as their internal resources, including dedication to their job and coping mechanisms. So we're going to take a closer look at 3 types of burnout. So the 3 types are overload, underload, and I should say under-challenged. Overload, under-challenged. And what's the last one? Drum roll. Neglect. Overload, under-challenged, and neglect. The first one on deck is overload. All right, overload burnout occurs when you work harder and more frantically to achieve success, often to the detriment of your health and personal life. This is the type of burnout that most people are familiar with, and it's also the most common. Overload burnout typically affects highly dedicated employees who feel obligated to work at an unsustainable pace. As a result, they drive themselves to the point of physical and mental exhaustion. Side note, your boss is never going to tell you that your place is unsustainable. Your pace is unsustainable. They're going to say good job and make you proud of yourself for sacrificing your personal time for their benefit. What you want to add to that, Matt?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I learned how to type on that thing, so you don't have to try and read my scrawl.
I appreciate that. Yes, I noticed that too.
I've ended up in that I'm overworked, and all you get are attaboys, and that's great. You know, positive reinforcement is wonderful, but positive reinforcement when you're burned out is enough to make you think I'm supposed to be doing more. You know, it's enough to throw you into that spiral of I'm not doing enough, even though I'm doing so much that I'm burning myself out, because they're just now recognizing me and saying, hey, they're proud of me.
Right.
You as a boss might be getting that backwards and be saying, hey, we've noticed you're doing a real good job. And what you mean is, hey, we've noticed that you're working your butt off here, but you don't want to demoralize anybody,
right.
you know? And of course, you don't want to give anybody a reason to complain. So those attaboys, and I've seen it from both sides of that one. I've been the one giving the attaboys and thinking, you know, I wonder if they're going to quit.
That's when you identify and you think that, man, that's, you know, it's good that you're recognizing it and you're thinking about it. But, you know, how many times that the service member employee has been at that point and their senior didn't recognize it, you know?
Exactly.
Didn't take that time to say, hey, look, man, you know, hey, look, Troop, you're working really hard. Hey, let's go back to one of the other classes. When the last time you took some leave?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's okay. You got to burn some of this leave up, man. You've been working real hard. You know, as hard as we work, you got to equate that. You got to do equivalent play hard. Now, if that play hard is doing like, is it Colonel Galen now? Who putting together his Legos? If it equates to Legos, if it equates to puzzle time, if it equates to rock climbing, whatever your play hard is, legal play hard, please understand. We're saying, don't go out there robbing banks. They told me to play hard. No. We're talking about make sure everything that you do is legal. Yeah, man. Legal, moral, and ethical. Okay. Don't try to get us.
One that got me turned on to that too, by the way. So thank you very much.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So make sure that you had that work home life balance. That's how you avoid it, and they're going to get into that. But good points, man. Good points, Matt. Professionals with overload burnout tend to cope by venting their emotions to others, complaining about how tired and overwhelmed they are. This subtype is also quick to jump into problem-solving mode, creating more work and responsibility for themselves, which only exacerbates their stress. You got a note here, Matt. What you got?
Being exhausted is worn as a badge of honor among high-performing people. We're expected to believe that talking about it makes it better. I'm not completely exhausted. I must not be doing enough. I'm not working through lunch. Maybe I need to do more. The one-upmanship. It's like comparing scars, you know, around a campfire. Oh, you should. Oh man, this one. Oh wow. Oh, you should have seen this one. You know, before you know it, you're taking your shirt off. Wow, I was attacked by a bear. But it's the same thing with stress.
Yeah.
I am so tired, and I started because of this article. I started a thing. Monday mornings. Everyone that I see when I first see them, I'll say something along the lines of, man, this weekend was so restful. Or, you know, hey, I feel great this morning. I got a lot of great sleep last night. Because people tend to mirror your energy unless they're really exhausted or just really negative or just one of those people. You know? And don't get me wrong, those people, I've been those people before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Black hole. Yeah. But yeah, that whole idea of I'm stressed, you're stressed. Well, my boss is stressed, which means I've got to be stressed, which means I've stressed these guys. It's that chain of work until we overload ourselves and then don't let ourselves. What was it 2 weeks ago? We talked about recovery.
Yeah.
You know, recovery is a requirement for performance.
It's absolutely yes.
Yeah.
You got to, man. I mean, it's science tells you, I mean, that's why we went to the holistic health, right? Because if you don't get that rest, your body don't properly recover anyway. Because you feel like, you know, hey, it's only so many hours. I met people like this. There's only so many hours in a day. If I sleep too much, then I'm wasting that time. And you know, your body needs that time. You need that time. So signs to watch out for. You overlook your own needs or personal life to fulfill work demands. That's a no-go. I've seen it. You know, even like a lot of times, a lot of the people that popped in my head were my single soldiers, my single leaders. They're like, you know, well, I don't have a family to go home to, so I could just do X, Y, Z. No, you don't have a family to go home to, but you do have a personal life. Go home, play your Madden or whatever, role playing, RPG games, whatever it is. Go home and enjoy yourselves for the weekend. I better not catch you in this office. It's crazy. You invest more than is healthy in your commitment to your career or ambitions. You endanger your well-being to achieve your goals. And that all goes back to the same stuff, man. You have to be intentional about just taking care of yourself, right? Just being intentional about, it's okay to be selfish when it comes to self-maintenance and self-care, right? I think my guest this week, Colonel Wegner, he was saying that mental health, a lot of times when we came in, you really didn't talk about it. It was one of those things where it was kind of, for us, it was viewed like it would be, we would be shunned or, blackballed if we look weak. That's not the case, man. You gotta get whatever you gotta get to stay healthy, and it's okay to be selfish in that aspect. What you think about that, Matt?
I mean, I completely agree with that. One of the things, we endanger our well-being to achieve our goals. We all do that. We all get up earlier than we want. We all, to the point where I wake up at 4:30. And that's a day where I'm like, oh look, I'm only a half an hour before the alarm. Weekends, why? Well, because I've pushed myself so long. I'm in the office at 5:00 every morning. Why? Well, because work starts at 9 and I got a lot to do before work starts.
That's right. You gotta check.
Well, come on. Right. I mean, you gotta, so you're ready to go, and then, right. But knowing your internal signals is something that I don't think we really do until, one, we're told that our internal signals are valid, and two, until we're much older and further along in our career, so that we can say, I did it wrong for a long time. Not to say there's anything wrong with being in the office early, but if you're going to be in the office early, don't also be in the office late.
That's right. Come on, say that again, Matt. Say that again.
Also work through lunch, right? There are 3 times in the day that you get to yourself. When you first wake up, and if the first thing you're doing is throwing clothes on and getting to the office, that's okay. All right. Then you get lunchtime, whether it be 30 minutes or an hour and a half, depending on where you work. I've worked through it for the majority of my career. I know you did quite a few times too.
Yes, sir.
And then 5:00. Well, 5:00 is the start of my workday some days. Because that's when everybody else starts to go home, so you can get things done.
You can focus.
If you're burning that candle at both ends and you don't leave time for your family, which you are going to have to give a lot to, and you don't leave time for yourself, and we completely ignore those signals and invalidate those signals of, I'm doing too much.
Yeah. And the danger of that from our 254 people, you gonna burn down. You're gonna burn out. In burnout, don't think about burnout as just the word that we're saying. Your body literally will start suffering. That mental exhaustion will start to cause physical. It'll start manifesting on the physical side. So you got to, man. You absolutely have to. All right. So researchers note that the way out of overload burnout is twofold. First, it's important to develop stronger emotion regulation skills, such as naming and processing your emotions and reframing negative self-talk. What do they mean by negative self-talk, Matt? Such as naming and processing your emotions and reframing negative self-talk.
I'm gonna have a dad moment here.
Come on.
I took my daughter out of school on Monday because I've been on use or lose leave because I'm doing too much.
You gotta get it.
That's right. And our relaxation on Monday was to hit the Manitou incline, which is 2,000 feet up in less than a mile. It's a burner. It'll get you. But about a quarter of the way up and then about half the way up, we sat down and I had that conversation with her about that negative self-talk. She's 9, so not as fast as me, not as breathing heavier, and there's people going faster than us and a lot of people going slower than us.
Right.
But I said, are you going to make it? Just kind of jokingly. She said, no. And I said, all right, let's have a talk. Because you're going to make it. You're going to make it to the top one way or another. Yeah. It's just a matter of how much you struggle between here and there. And if we can get you to say, I'm going to make it. I'm going to do this. And when I say, are you ready? You can say, no, I'm not ready. We'll stay here for a minute.
Yeah.
But when we're ready, You got to say, I'm ready, because no doesn't work. It puts you in the wrong mental place.
That's right.
It's not your best you talking to you when you say those things. It's not who you are trying to be talking to you when you hear the you can't do this, you're too tired, you're worn out, you're this, you're that, you're not creative enough, you're not patient enough, you're not smart enough. That's not the you want to be. So why listen to it?
That's good.
You know, it goes back to something that that my stepdad said, which amazing, wonderful advice. Listen to everybody, obviously, but don't take criticism from someone that you wouldn't take or don't take. Oh shoot! Now I messed it up. Don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from.
That's
there
right.
it is.
That's right.
You know,
That's
it's
good.
the same thing inside your head. You know, that person's not trying to help you right now.
No. And you know what else? The another one of the mental health experts said in one of the classes they did for us was that it's amazing how the brain is so powerful, right? Once you say no, I can't, or any of those things, your body physically stops putting forth the amount of effort that it would have, because you've already blocked it off. You're like, no, I can't do it. Well, we can't do it, so what's the point in trying? What was that video that they used to show when the coach blindfolded the football player, and then told him he had to crawl to until he couldn't do it anymore? And when he finished with everybody screaming, he was like across the field, but he had said he couldn't do it anymore. But because he was looking at it, physically, he was telling himself he couldn't do it. And then the coach blindfolded him, and his body did way more than what his eyes and his mentals told him. So, yeah, man, that's good. I like that. Negative self-talk. Don't do it. Don't defeat yourself. For instance, you could reframe the belief that you need to work all the time to be successful. To enjoying my life helps me become more successful. Yes, enjoy your life. After all, resting is not a reward for success. It's a prerequisite for performance. Matt, didn't you just say that?
Well,
there are times to push through and keep going, but that should be an everyday occurrence. You want to highlight it?
yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. It doesn't matter what line of work you're in. Nobody is getting paid to sit around and do nothing. And even on leave, I have found a lot of things that need to be done. But that doesn't mean every single day I need to go to bed with aching arms and back because I've worked myself to death.
That's right.
That means you pick a couple of days, and you pick a couple of projects, and you pace yourself, and you say, here's what we're gonna do. Yeah. It's that pace. It's the age-old analogy of the tortoise and the hare, right? One of them's gonna live longer. Why? Because they don't run themselves to death. You're genetically predisposed to 100 years, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, man, that's good. So the second is crucial to separate your self-worth from your work. Separate your self-worth from your work. Yes. Consequently, by learning to keep a certain distance from work, researchers Jesus Montero Marin and Javier Garcia Campillo write, individuals could avoid excessive involvement and prevent burnout. Strive to diversify your identity to create self-complexity by investing in different areas of your life beyond work. You got a note here too, Matt. What you got?
So individuals could avoid excessive involvement and prevent burnout. This is not something that is encouraged in the military, I'll say.
Right.
I said Army. Leaders who are not fully engaged 24/7 are seen as not dedicated to the Army mission or their soldiers. Too many people wait until they're at the point of burnout to create a level of separation between life and work. And unfortunately, I think, because I've experienced it, I think when you create that separation at the point or after the point of burnout, it's almost too hard to get back into what you need to at a reasonable pace.
Right.
When you've pushed yourself too hard, when you've spent 18 hours a day at work, 5 or 6 days a week, depending. Germany's a place.
That's right. Hey.
and Korea and Hawaii and every other base, but I've only been to Germany. It's one of those things where when you say finally I've had enough, getting back into it is it's demoralizing. One, why did I break away in the first place? Now I don't know every single thing that's going on every single second. So I'm not what I was before. Am I even good enough for this? Or 1,000 other things we're going to tell ourselves. Mm-hmm. Finding that way, and it's the leaders that should drive this from on high to say, create that separation. Don't just give a talk about important versus urgent, because that's important. Yeah, it's important for people to know that, but it's also important for them to know that they need to apply that every single day.
Application. And how do we best demonstrate application? Through example. Leading from the front. Now, Matt, you said it. It's hard in the military, and there are some units when you're gonna have to be there, punch that clock, right? Those hours, put in that work. Especially if you're in a highly mobile unit, you're deploying a lot or you're always out on missions. Understood, but make those times the exceptions, right? Make those the exceptions to the rule, and that, hey, look, get your work done so that we can get out of here by this time because you should be home. Tell them you should be home spending time with your family, because when I need you to be gone 24/7, then I'm gonna need you to know that it's legit, right? Especially if you're deployed. So take this opportunity to get your work done. And what does that encourage? That encourage people to manage their time, right? Time management skills. Because if you don't do it, that don't mean you're going home just because I said you need to be home with your family. That means now everybody else get to go and you get to stay here and finish whatever the mission was. Or if you the leader that let your people lollygag all day, I'm going to send them soldiers home, and them young leaders, y'all going to be here. Unfortunately, I might have to be here with you, and you're going to get it done when you had your soldiers to help you earlier and all through the week, right? Friday motor pool ain't right. Come on, man. What's going on? Anyways, get off.
That was one of my favorite things to do when I was a sergeant, staff sergeant, was to, bug my platoon sergeant, even bug my first sergeant, and say, it's Monday morning motor pool. Here's what I've got today. What needs to be done by Friday? What needs to be done by Friday? Right? Because Friday's going to come around, and 1400, you're going to come out and tell me, oh, well, this has got to get done. Mm-hmm. I want to let them go early.
Yeah.
But you tell me Monday, I'll have it done by Wednesday, and we'll have all the time for all that other stuff we need.
That's right.
Time and focusing the energy of your people. That's one of our jobs.
Yeah. And you know what the soldiers love when you do that? They don't love it having to do it, but then when they realize how much time you're giving them, right? But you got to make sure that they don't think that time is like, oh, it's my time. No. I'm making this time available for you. So when I need you to be here and cheerful. I need you to whistle while you work up in this joker.
Don't feel entitled to that extra time. You worked for it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Matt. Oh, Jewel Junkie, what's poppin', Papa Gift and guest? What's going on, Jewel Junkie? I see you. Appreciate you joining us. That's the boss, the sponsor, Household 6. All right, so the next one is under challenged burnout. So this one was one that I didn't really I didn't identify with through the name, but when I read it, I was like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense, right? Mm-hmm. So you might be surprised to find out that burnout can result from doing too little. Under challenged burnout could be considered the opposite of the overload type. It occurs when you're bored and not stimulated by your job. Have you not had people that work for you that are like this, or you worked with, right? Some of those super intelligent people who are just not, you haven't pushed them yet. You haven't managed their talent, right, Matt? Come on.
Absolutely.
You have not done that. You got to focus, leaders. You got to focus. You got to know your people, man. It occurs when you're bored and not stimulated by your job, which leads to a lack of motivation. People with under-challenged burnout may feel underappreciated and become frustrated because their role lacks learning opportunities, room for growth, or meaningful connection with coworkers and leadership. You got a note here, Matt, but before we get into that note, I have a soldier that I had. She majored in English. So she was an English major, and she joined the Army. She came in as a specialist. You know, she had a degree, but it just wasn't anything that, you know, specified to go officer. So they was like, hey, we'll give you specialist, right? And she worked for public health, so she's an inspector. So she's writing up these reports after she's doing inspections, and they're getting kicked back. And she's like, "What do you mean it's not written right? You know, it's not written right. What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're an English major. I'm gonna have to send you to effective army writing." Right? Because it's two different things. English major, army writing, it don't always equal up, man. And so she was having burnout because she's like, I done spent all this time. I have a degree in English. I am certified. I've been stamped. And you telling me that I'm writing my reports wrong? No, we need bluff. I don't need war and peace, honey. I need bluff. I need you to give me the basics of this thing. We only got so much paper and mat. Back then we were still on typewriters.
I've got 2 NCOERs that look like that.
Yeah. Like, no. I need you to tone this down. We sent her to effective army writing. She fought it, but once she realized that, okay, it is different. Being in the military, writing is different. I think she's an officer now, but that was who came to my mind when I was reading this. What you got for your note?
Well, that was putting a lot of energy into and being underutilized in what they're good at, right? This note is more of a just a generalization. The E4 Mafia, right?
Whoa.
Run by the hardest working lazy people you'll ever meet. You give them a job, and I mean this about the majority of specialists, PSCs, privates. You give them a job, you give them a purpose, and they get it done. They do, right? You can trust them as long as they know what it is that they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But when you don't do that, when you don't give them direction or purpose or motivation, what do? They smoke all day long. They spend 4 hours at the PX. They take that hour and a half lunch and complain that it's not more.
That's right.
Because they're undermotivated, they're underutilized, and it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they don't want to work. It's because they don't have that focused time and energy, which again is one of our major jobs as leaders. I've seen those specialists that you'll look at and say, this is someone that I am definitely going to be seeing an Article 15 on here pretty soon. I can just tell their attitude, their lack of motivation. And then you spend a couple of minutes talking to them and go, oh, you just don't have leadership engagement.
That's
okay,
right.
I can work with that. You get them promoted in 4, 5, 6 months, and they're one of your best, hardest working sergeants you'll ever see because
That's
they
right.
finally got it. You know, they understood, hey, I can motivate my people. I can focus my time and my energy. Or you actually kick the junior NCOs in the rear and say, hey, get on this person. You know, attach them to your hip and make sure that they're your right-hand person.
Yeah.
Without that, though, we see that burnout of underutilization and, well, nobody cares about it.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how, you know, when the textbook definition is leadership is providing purpose, motivation, and direction, motivation, whichever way you want to put it, right? It's whichever that individual needs. And that E4 Mafia, if you give them that, they will move mountains for you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, when unless you're in an HHD, HHC, HH, whatever, the bulk of your unit is going to be juniors.
Yep.
So when you picking up, packing up, mobilizing, demobilizing, you know, redeploying, deploying, whatever it is you're doing, the bulk of your labor, your work is going to be your juniors. Imagine if you gave them that purpose and they understood the command for, like, not just knew what the command philosophy and the mission is and all that stuff, but they understood it. They took ownership of it. Can you imagine? Okay, soldiers may move fast for deployment, right? But when it's time to redeploy, how fast do them jokers get that stuff done? Matt, how fast can they tear down a whole area?
Mm-hmm.
You tell them, you gotta slow them down. Be like, wait, what are you doing? Hold up. hold up. Well, we still gotta we gotta wait for the trains to come to load this stuff. They be like, hey, Top, we gotta get it done. Let's go.
I remember one guys in Germany. We were out in the airfield out there in Baumholder, and we told the juniors and the NCOs when we went out there, hey, we got a bunch of new soldiers, but some of our juniors are still the same. Here's the deal: pick a PFC or a specialist. They are in charge of their section. They are in charge of setup. They're in charge of internalization of the aid station. They're in charge of tear down and everything. And I hate to say it, but I have never seen such good communication, because the specialists knew they couldn't just say, go tear that tent down.
Yeah.
They had to say, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to break down this area first. We're going to de-internalize this over here. We're going to set that outside. They broke it down because they had a vision. They knew what needed to happen, and they needed to get that across to everybody. They needed to do it in a respectful manner because they were talking to sergeants and staff sergeants who weren't right then in charge of that mission. We had the fastest and most accurate setup and tear down and pack out into the trucks. I can still see it. It was amazing. It was awe-inspiring because of that communication that they had, and because the fact that they had that vision. But commander's intent, right? When it comes down to it, and that applies in the business world, it applies everywhere. What's your boss's intent?
Yeah.
If you know what it is, you know what direction to go in, you know what to communicate to people, and you understand how and when and why to get from point A to point Z, and you make it happen regardless of your rank or position.
That's right. And empower your people to do it, man. Manage their talents, okay? Workers who feel their tasks are monotonous and unfulfilling tend to lose passion and become cynical and lethargic. They cope with the stress of being under challenged through avoidance, distraction, disassociation, or thought suppression, i.e., ordering themselves to stop thinking about it. That sounds like the E4 Mafia when you don't give them that, right? Sounds just like them jokers.
It sounds like conversations at the smoke pit every day.
Man, it sounds like I'm just the specialist.
Yep.
I'm just a private. I'm like, no, you're a very valuable part of this organization. What do you mean you just? That used to burn me up so bad. I used to be like, no, man. No, you know how effective you are? Do you know we can't make this thing happen? I mean, obviously we probably could make it happen, but it would be very painful without you. You are important to us. So some signs to watch out for. You would like to work on assignments and tasks that are more challenging. You feel your job does not offer you opportunities to develop your abilities. You feel that your current role is hampering your ability to advance and develop your talents. How can you address it? When you're demoralized, it can be hard to care about much of anything. True. Lower the stakes by simply exploring your curiosities. This is awesome, right? Explore your curiosity. Set a goal to learn a new skill in the next 30 days. Yes. To kickstart your motivation, start small and don't overwhelm yourself. Perhaps you spend an hour or two a week learning to code or devote 20 minutes a day practicing a new language. I've done both of those, and it definitely helps. Making strides towards something that feels fun and meaningful to you creates a flywheel of momentum that can lift you out of a funk. Yes, even if the skill isn't directly related to your job, you'll likely find that the positive energy spills over to reinvigorate your passion for your work, or that it inspires your career to move in a new direction. So when I was reading this earlier and through the week, I was thinking when I read that, I was like, you have people who are in jobs, they're MOS, they're specialties, maybe they didn't score high enough to get into something else, but they're in this job, right? And there's an out call no, so you're not going anywhere, but they're good troops, right? We have these things called additional duties.
Mm-hmm.
Use their talents. Hey, look, I thought about you for this. We got a volunteer coordinator, man. Let's get the group together. Let's go out. You're very passionate about XYZ. Let's get out here and do this. Hey, you're really good at, why don't we try you out at the movement, NCO? Why don't we try you out at, why don't we walk you over here and see if you can do XYZ? I want to try this for 14 days, 15 days to a month, right? And or you have high-speed senior leaders that decide to create schools, right? Why don't we send you to some of these schools, and while you're in those schools, you'll learn about some of the other wonderful things that you can get yourself involved in as you move on up the rank structure, right? Because as you go up higher, in a lot of cases, you do less and less of your MOS task.
Oh, true.
So yeah, man. What do you think about that, Matt?
Cross training.
Cross training.
One of the best places to do cross training, and unfortunately, one of the only places people do it, is in the field. Because hey, we're out here 24 hours for every day that we're out here, so we got to find 24 hours worth of work. Well, there isn't. And there isn't 24 hours worth of training in your MOS because you can't, right? You're going to burn yourself out on it. You got to learn a new skill. You got to practice a new skill. That's great. Okay. You got to keep your basics down. You got to work on those. Absolutely. But you also got to make sure that the generators still run, right? So why don't we go out there and work on the PMCS with the mechanics? Why don't we, when setting up, hold off on full internalization of this asset over here that isn't necessary and run some lines with the mechanics, right? It's not only the mechanics by any means, but let's go over and talk the S6. How are you guys setting this up? Oh, you're running telephone wire through the entire hospital? Let's figure out how to do that.
That's right.
Work with different people, and of course not just in the field, but that's the prime location where you see it. If you're bored on a Tuesday afternoon, go into the supply office, go into the training room. Go into somewhere where you don't know what's going on and might have some interest in it.
Yeah.
Think about something that you do on a daily basis. Well, I've got to turn in a 4187 for that. Well, I've never written that 4187 before. Okay, great. You know what? That training room NCO over there has processed about 1,000 of those in the last 2 months. Why don't you talk to him or her and say, hey, Sergeant, can you show me how to do this? Right? Or hey, PFC, when you talk to S1, what is it that you talk to them about with this? Let me go talk to the S1 or even the S2. What do we do for these reports? Cross-train yourself or cross-train your soldiers. Do something interesting.
That's right.
I found I hate signing up for college classes. I hate signing up for college classes because I get away from it for 6 months to a year. And I have that when I'm just so busy. And I don't know, and you get in your own head. And the second I start a new class, I go, oh yeah, that's right, I like learning new things.
Yeah,
the things that I enjoy. And it's so stress relieving to just get something started. Same thing with this cross training idea. Just walk out and meet people, talk to people. That next line in there, try job crafting. Absolutely, you mentioned it, Viper Leader Academy. Hey, what are you gonna do for the next 6 months? Well, you know what? Maybe I'll start a school, a battalion-sized school. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Job. And you don't have to have your entire work day to play with to say, hey, I'm going to do this. You can do it. You can do it over lunch. You can do it in the 15 to 1700 timeline when everybody is going home or relaxing and not know what they're doing. Take advantage of your time.
That's good, man. And it's so awesome when you're going through these things and as you're talking, vision, you can see the stuff that's happened and how leaders have applied this stuff. And you, like for me, I didn't attach that this is what was going on or this is what's happening. So that's really good. And it's so important. I'm gonna go back to what you were saying about in the field. How many times have the mechanics been busy? How many times has the generator? You only had one generator, or you didn't have a generator mechanic, and the power went out.
Yep.
How important, and that private or that specialist that's able to go out there. Do you know how excited they are when they can go and help and be like, "Hey, I can fix this. Yep. I got it. Let me do it." And you're like, "Just please don't electrocute yourself." Please. I don't want to do a ground report. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to send that message out, man. Please don't. They be like, "We got this." No. Yes, all right, we'll try it. But when you did that training, right? right? So that was one of the things. You forced them to go to those areas. And okay, so like you have sergeant's time training. Sometimes that sergeant's time training is your internal skills. Sometimes it's the external skills of the people around you, right? So force them to get out and go to those external, like, okay, y'all already did y'all's internal stuff, so why don't you go over to the motor pool and see? Your vehicle's been down for a while. Why don't you go over there and have your mechanic show you what's wrong, and if it's something that they can help you do? How about that? I don't know. I love it.
Just sidetrack on that one because it's a very important topic for me right now personally in my unit. There's the scheduled maintenance and unscheduled maintenance. Well, that's not a 10 level maintenance. Well, that doesn't mean you can't hold the flashlight. Doesn't mean you can't. Doesn't mean you can't run that hose or that wire. Just because they have to have an MOS specifically to do that doesn't mean you can't learn it. Because then you can troubleshoot it a little bit better when you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
Yes.
And you say, well, I don't know what's wrong with the truck.
But that never happens. Matt, that never happens.
Right, never.
The vehicle don't break down outside of the motor pool, man. Stop playing.
That's true.
If that was the case. Oh my God, yes. Okay, so I think we beat that one down pretty good.
Yes.
Underutilization. Get out there and learn something new, people. Don't do that. Don't burn out because you're being underused, or don't let your people burn out because you're not managing their talent properly. Neglect, burnout. And so this one, it hit me before the other one did, but I feel like this one falls under that one a little bit. It could, right? Neglect, underused.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those two tie together very well.
Yeah. But they do have that separation, so I'll get into it. The final type of burnout is the worn out subtype. This is also called neglect burnout because it can result from feeling helpless in the face of challenges. Neglect burnout occurs when you aren't given enough structure, direction, or guidance in the workplace. So this is, like I was saying, it could be together, it could fall under it, but it does separate. And so this is when you have leaders, maybe you fell in on a situation and you didn't have that, you don't have leaders there, or your leader was on the way out the door and they was like, peace, I'm out, figure it out, and they didn't leave any type of information or anything like that. That's when some of the reasons when that stuff will happen. Neglect burnout occurs when you aren't given enough structure, direction, or guidance in the workplace. You may find it difficult to keep up with demands or otherwise feel unable to meet expectations. Over time, this can make you feel incompetent, frustrated, and uncertain. Thoughts on that, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. Feeling incompetent because why? This goes back to one of my favorite and least favorite lines. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay. My entire job for the last 20 years has been judging people. Judging their performance, judging their ability, judging their motivation, judging the direction that they're going in, and figuring out what I need to do to course correct those individuals and or myself, right?
Right.
Without that judgment properly delivered, you can start to feel like you're incompetent. Well, nobody has told me anything about what I've been doing.
Right.
I've been giving reports in command and staff for months, and I haven't heard anything about it, right? Or I've been turning in these reports for what's going on in the motor pool and nothing. Or my clinic is running along what seems like smoothly, but I haven't seen my department in CYC in months, right? I don't know if I'm doing well or if I'm just making it up as I go along and I haven't done anything wrong enough for them to slap me on the hand yet.
Right.
It can make people very frustrated and far less likely to help because I don't really know. Yeah. I don't really know what I'm doing here because I haven't been given that feedback that's necessary to say you've been doing well or you haven't been doing well.
Right. That's good. Hey, look, Matt, while you was talking, man, I made a very interesting discovery. You got one of my favorite cartoons characters over your shoulder. Is that Darkwing Duck?
That is. When we talk about burnout, we talk about willingly throwing yourself back into a situation that is unwinnable all the time. Yeah. One of the reasons Darkwing Duck was from childhood until still now one of my favorite characters is because he just doesn't quit.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't know when to quit. He doesn't know how to quit.
Right.
But he just doesn't quit,
Yeah.
right? And you've seen quite a few episodes, I'm sure, where
yeah.
he hits that burnout point of crawling on the ground to the couch because he's just so done. But he's got his family. He's got Goslin. He's got, and if you can't tell, my daughter has got me back into the nice Disney characters. But he's got his pilot. Anyway, his best friend there,
I'm gonna have to pull it up.
Always lifting him up and saying, hey, we got you. Or, hey, slow down. Or, hey, this is crazy. You're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
And that's something that when we're talking about burnout, I think he should be our guest speaker for the day, honestly.
Yeah. It was perfect, man. I was like, you was talking, I was like, is that Darkwing Duck? That's my dude, man. Hey, look, that's one of the best things about being back on grandpa duties, because, I can watch all the cartoons I want, and no one's judging me when they walk past, and it's just me.
Now, just what? What?
Hey, he wants to watch cartoons, man. What's up with that? He be asleep. He be knocked out, man. I'm the one that don't watch the cartoons. It's all good. Confession over. Okay, worn out workers cope through learned helplessness, which occurs when a person feels unable to find solutions to difficult situations, even when ones are available. It's crazy. In other words, people with learned helplessness tend to feel incapable of making any positive difference in their circumstance. In other words, when things at work don't turn out as they should, those with neglect, burnout, become passive and stop trying. But I guess I just can't do anything right.
I think, too, these are the ones that are more than willing to parrot this is the way we do it because this is the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
So you're telling me you don't understand.
Yeah.
And you probably don't care.
Yep. This is how it's always been, Sarn. Oh, in my retirement short career, I've learned that there are a lot of our GS government employees. I mean, we've met them while I was on active duty. I wasn't as keen on focusing in on, what their issues are, except for the results of that, right? Nasty attitude, treating us like trash. It was like, yo, if you don't like your job, get another job. But you can't work for this organization who your job is to support these service members and treat the service members that your job is to support like trash. You can't tell me you think that's okay. You can't tell me that you think it's okay. Private Gifford goes in to get his stuff from CIF. He gets the stuff. It's airtight bag. It's the wrong side. Private Gifford brings it right back in. Haven't left the parking lot. Oh, it's dirty. You gotta do the XYZ. It's in the bag. You gave it to me. Hey, Private, I'm gonna have to call your first sergeant. You say first sergeant, Private's not gonna argue with you anymore. Private leaves. Right? Come on, man. You gotta treat people like you want to be treated. And a lot of times that could be because they are suffering from this type of burnout, right?
Yep.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Crazy. Signs to watch for. You stop trying when work situations don't go as planned. You give up in response to obstacles or setbacks you face at work. You feel demoralized when you get up in the morning and have to face another day at work. And this is dangerous because, again, back to mental health. If they're starting to feel like that or you're starting to feel like that, you got to understand that your body is already giving you warning signs that you need to go ahead and go sit down on the couch, man. Talk to somebody. You could talk to your mental health, chaplain, leaders, loved ones, pastor, priest, somebody. Talk to somebody, get help, because your body is warning you already. You're starting to suffer from this, it's damaging. And it's gonna start. It only gets worse if you don't get help. Because you at this point you surpassed the point of self-care, right? Like you're not doing it, so we need to get somebody to kind of jumpstart you to thinking about using that MRT. Hell, you could talk to an MRT person, but they are not medical professionals at all always.
Sure.
But they are good listeners, and they do have some skills to help you jumpstart that process of different thinking. How to address it. Find ways to regain a sense of agency over your role. Try creating a to don't list, a to do not list. Just so I know I got an accent. Do not list. Create a do not list. What can you get off your plate by outsourcing, delegating, or delaying? Look for obligations you need to say no to altogether and hone the skills of setting stronger boundaries. Yes. You got anything on this, Matt?
I have a lot of things on my to don't list because I have a tendency to take over. I love going out and talking becomes helping, and helping becomes directing, and directing becomes taking over. And within 5 minutes, I found myself in charge of a project that I don't need to be in charge of.
That's right.
There's no reason for that. Luckily, I had this pointed out to me many years ago. And I still fight with it internally, not so much externally anymore because I keep myself in check. But there he is.
Look at him. Look at Pastor. Look at Pastor right there. What's up with you, brother?
So, hold on, let me get somewhere where it's a little quieter. We just got out.
Y'all just got out?
Yeah, it's a call meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, little business being established, that kind of deal.
You in San Antonio, right?
Huh?
You in San Antonio?
Man, we had to. The meeting was up in Killeen, so I had to come back.
You thought you were out, but they dragged you back in.
Right when I thought I was out, they dragged me right back in.
I'm like, you just moved out of the Killeen, man. What you doing back up in Killeen, man?
Yeah, I had to come back up there. It's like, oh my goodness.
It's good to see you, man. Look at all that. What's that on your face, man? What's that?
Hey man, that's leave. That's what that is. Spell it with me. Leave. Leave.
Yes.
I had on my face until yesterday. Yeah.
Look, Matt, you gonna have to send me some pictures, man. I don't think I caught you with the facial hair yet.
No, I know he can go a grizzly one too, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, send that photo to the group.
I know that's right.
We've all got the white going on down here. That's
Look here.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, that's how people know they're supposed to listen to you.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. So we're on the last one, which is it is the neglect burnout.
Okay.
And basically that's when you're just you haven't been taken care of. Yeah, you have not been taken care of, and now we're talking about some ways to avoid that neglect burnout.
Yeah, and it certainly is several techniques of doing that. But what I like to do to avoid that, because you get really disencouraged, disenchanted when you don't feel like you've been taken care of. And I give a good example. So time for me to leave. Eval award time, and boss is raving about me, but then his overall assessment of my performance was not far exceeded. I said, "What? That's interesting."
It didn't match. It didn't match what was being said.
What was being said, or even what he wrote down. I was just like, okay, that's interesting. But the funny part is that when I give it to him, he looks at it and he's like, well, I think this might be able to be a little stronger. So I want you to go back and go work on that. You don't want to write anything on my evaluation? Wow. Okay. PCS award, which is still not submitted, because he's like, well, this last one is like too many sentences about this. So I'd like for you to add this. Wow. You don't want to write anything on my PCS award either, huh? Wow. That's yeah. And that just hits you, right? Wow. Now everybody's here. First round did this, and he took care of us. And first round, I wouldn't have made it through this command without you. And then it's time for you to just do a few simple things. Nope. Couldn't be bothered in the slightest. And so my strongest remedy is naturally what I'm doing right now. You fellas you find, fellas, that inner circle, that inner sanctum. That's what reminds me that I'm important and I'm cared for, and I'm cared for by the people who matter.
That's right.
The others don't care for me. I still care for you, but it is what it is.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not the first time that it's happened, and it certainly won't be the last time that it's happened.
Sad but true. It's a great word. Disappointed. You know, think about how much we put into the career we're in, the job we do, with the job it does. But specifically for those of us that are in the and we're in the military. Think about how much of our lives, our psyche, our personality we put into the military. And you literally have to be enchanted with the idea. This is mine. This is my Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Space Force. This is mine. I am a part of this. And when you become disenchanted, you become disassociated. And getting your juniors back who have become disassociated through possibly your neglect of them or your junior leaders' neglect of them is heartbreaking.
That's right. I agree. And you know, an unfortunate thing that happens is a lot of leaders, senior leaders, exactly what you're talking about, Joseph, experience that.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's sad, but you know, you go through that, and I mean, in some cases, what we were just talking about, what Matt brought up, it's almost we become. It's almost like you brag about. It's always been like this, but you know, you ain't had to write your own eval. You ain't had to write. It's like I have, but am I supposed to write it? Right? I mean, we help. You help, right?
I put my input, but to write all of it.
Give me some. What do you think?
Right. What do you think? Put your money where your mouth is. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. See, that's why Saturdays is wonderful, because we get some. You know, the juices just get to flow real good when I have you guys all together.
Hey, in the car with the great beard himself, the true source of wisdom in my life.
What's going on with you?
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Pops. How you doing?
Life is good in the big city, man.
Yes.
Killeen, Texas.
Killeen, K-Town.
Well, that's where we are right now. We're going somewhere else. Good to see you guys.
You too, sir.
Finishing off the leadership talk for Saturday.
Oh,
So
yeah.
And Matt, what you said, it's that vicious circle, man. You know, once a leader has been disenchanted, and then they may purposely or inadvertently do the same thing to their soldiers, and it just keeps passing on and on to where, and then tell you what you were saying. It's almost expected that, oh, you're senior leader now. You're supposed to write all your stuff.
That's right.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And
So-
so it burns out. You burn out.
Absolutely. A great place to start is by identifying situations where you feel an intense sense of resentment. This is an emotional signal that you need to put healthier limits in place. Likewise, consider talking to your boss about your workload. You could explain how you're currently spending your time and ask, are my priorities consistent with yours? What would you like me to change? Or, if we could take Project A off my plate, then I have more time to focus on our team's strategic priorities and ultimately deliver on the key goals we've evaluated against. Your manager will likely be thrilled you're thinking about the big picture and taking initiative. Most importantly, focus on what you can control. Outside of office hours, be bullish about self-care. Again, be bullish about self-care. Create routines and rituals that ground you, such as a daily walk or journaling practice. When you feel helpless about changing tide at work, some semblance of predictability is essential. What you got on that, Matt?
I love starting the morning, well, the real work morning at 9 o'clock, having read all the emails from all the go-getters and, you know, that at 2300 or the early commanders that send them at 06, right? Or some people that send them during PT. I feel really good about that, and I'm encouraged. I know what's going on, but I never feel better than when I stop myself between 8 and 8 and actually read or write something down. Hey, I've had these thoughts. I want to talk to my NCOs or my juniors or my officers about this. Hey, I've been feeling this, and I just need to write it out and get my brain in the right place. Being bullish about self-care, I think a lot of people could take that the wrong way, because self-care leaves a dirty feel in my mouth because of the way it was pushed for so long. It's not driven by burnout. Self-care shouldn't be a need to escape. It shouldn't be that I need to zone out and play video games, or I need to just get drunk on the weekend, or I need to get completely off the grid for 3 weeks at a time. Self-care are those little things that you do to make yourself better for you, because when you're better for you, you're better for everyone else.
That's right. Yes, yes, yes. And it says, because people don't burn out in the exact same way for the exact same reasons. It's important to identify the type of burnout that you may be facing. You may even be dealing with a mix of one or two of these types at the same time. Determining where you're at makes it easier to find targeted solutions to solve the specific challenges ahead of you. And again, this article was 3 Types of Burnout by Melody Wilding. You can go check this out at your local library, online. What's the other spot? What are other spots that they could probably find this article, Matt? Harvard Business Review. All right, so if you guys want to check it out, you want to read the whole thing, shout out to the author. Great article, great topics. Always great talking with you gentlemen. Where am I at? There I go. I'm back. They couldn't see me for a second because I want the highlight on y'all too. So, closing for me. It's Saturday, man, y'all. Everybody, it's so wonderful to get together and take an hour out of your day to sit down and talk to us about leadership stuff, different topics. But it does nothing if you don't application, right?
Yes.
If we don't do that application part, it doesn't mean anything. So, you know, be intentional about identifying if you're in one of these types of burnouts, and not just you, but your people, right? Identify, recognize that type of burnout in your people, and then help them get past it, right? Help them overcome that through better utilization or forcing them to take care of themselves. Senior leaders too. Sometimes your senior leaders are overdoing it. Go home. You have a family. Do something with your family. It's okay to leave this uniform for a few hours. Well, that uniform, because I don't wear that uniform anymore.
We have you back anytime.
I am retired. And by the way, if y'all didn't know, your boy got accepted into the Doctor of Education program. I'll be headed back to school. I'm back at it. I start at the end of this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
I'm at conflict with it, and one side of my brain is like, "Are you crazy? I thought you said we weren't writing any more stuff," and the other side is like, "You got bored. You said we wanted to get our doctor's degree anyway. Let's do it." So yeah, we're doing it. All right, so that's my closing, man. You know, thank you, gentlemen, for coming out, taking time to spend with your boy, and you know, hopefully we keep doing this and keep getting better. Shout out to Phil. We miss you, brother. We love you. Hope you're having a great Saturday. And I'm gonna pass the mic on over to Joseph. What you got, Joseph? Woo!
Hey, you know, burnout happens to us all, you know, and it can creep up on you, or you could have known that the signs and symptoms are coming for a long time. Experiencing it doesn't mean weakness. Weakness is when you choose to not do anything about it, right? You just want to waddle, wrap yourself up in the blanket of sorrow and self-pity. You said a very important word, intentional. Be intentional about the things that you do, and you shouldn't care more for anything more than you care for yourself. And so it was one of the things that you was reading, not in that last set, but the set right before that it talked about, what was it? Talking to your boss and saying that it's too much on my plate. It's a very difficult thing for most people to walk into the boss's office and say, you've given me too much. I would like to reprioritize, take something off of my plate so that I can reprioritize and ensure that I can get everything done, and I can also have time for myself. I think that's one of the greatest signs of strength in human existence, is us being able to be self-aware enough to know what we can do and what we can't do, and be content with that. Not I'm a bad person, I'm a poor leader, I'm failing my soldiers, or I'm failing my subordinates, I'm failing my organization or my family because of it. You just have to reprioritize. And so as I've always said, if you establish what some principles that you live by those principles regardless of what's happening around you. And you'll see through the good times and the stormy days. But if you have a very prideful nature, you lose sight of things. And then when the dark day comes, you haven't been training.
Right.
And so you don't know what to do. And what's naturally in you is going to come out once the pressure is upon you. And so I hope anybody that's listening, all that are listening, if you hadn't read the article, go read it. Put it into your library, because 5 to 7 years from now, you should reread that thing again, because you're going to experience new things that the old knowledge that you've already read will still be applicable.
That's good. You gonna close us out, Matt?
Recognizing your internal signals. First of all, you both make amazing points. Absolutely, being intentional, making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Absolutely, admit, which I had a hard time doing for a long time. Admit that you can burn out, and be willing to say, I will be less likely to burn out if I take a little bit off my plate. I will be less likely to burn out if I don't spend my time zoning. I spend my time planning with that intentionality, right? Be aware of those internal signals, because sometimes you're not going to meet your hack of, I want to get A through D done by this time. If it's not life-threatening, if it's not a mission that has to be done right now, understand it probably can be moved to tomorrow if you're going to neglect yourself, your family, your people. So yeah, take care of you.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, love you guys. Have a great weekend. Love you, Pops, in the background. Hey, y'all be safe, man. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see y'all next week on Coffee, Crepes, Leadership, and Pancakes. And if you get a chance to, man, come hang out with us during the week. Well, you know what? I won't be here during the week. I'll be in Mexico. So next week, come on out and hang out with your boy on the Papa Gift Show. And we are out of here. Boom.
Yo, man.
Done. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Talk to you later.
Yep.